Hello, welcome to DSP video. Don't feel like drawing, so I'm not gonna be drawing. So I'm just gonna be watching this video. Now I did watch this review of this cinematic story mode of Street Fighter 5 before, and after I watched it, I was like, oh yeah, I definitely want to talk about this because I actually liked Street Fighter 5 story mode. I don't think it's obvious. I mean, it's a fighting game. I mean, it's the only fighting game that has the best story is Skullgirls. Okay, if you tell me otherwise, I'm deleting your comment. If you tell me Skullgirls is less than perfect, but let's get on with this. Let's watch this. Uh, I will say I did like this a little bit more than Mortal Kombat 10. I think the only thing that I think Mortal Kombat 10 does better with their story modes is that I think it has a better balance with characters. Like you at least play all the characters enough to enjoy it. While it does feel a little unbalanced, and I think that's one of the points that Phil brings up that I actually do agree with. That's the only point that he makes that's actually a decent point. But let's.
What is going on, everyone? Phil here for KOGaming. And few games of recent memory had as tumultuous of a launch as Street Fighter V did back in mid-February 2016. Not really for the reasons that maybe you would.
Oh, let's see the comments. Sorry, story mode was shit. Yeah, it is better than the character story mode. That's being truthful. All single player modes, including story mode in Street Fighter 5, suck for one reason. Capcom did it on purpose, so players don't have any fun racking up fight money that way for the so-called free DLC, and want to entice us to buy it all with real money instead. Fuck Crapcon. Get it? I will say the last part is kind of original because it's con. Not a lot of people do Crapcon, but whatever. It's fun, and the survival mode was fun too. Yeah, that's kind of weird. Like, I mean, I understand the idea that like I mean the argument that he's trying to make with fight money is that yeah, like they're not gonna give you fight, they're not gonna shower you with fight money because they do want you to buy the DLC, but it's better than Uncharted 4. Uncharted 4's microtransactions is the worst. It's the worst. I'm sorry, like say what you will about Street Fighter 5 and Capcom, but at least it's possible to get 100,000 fight money easily. It's very easy to get that. Just do survival mode. With Uncharted 4, they're so stingy with the relics. Like the only thing that they give you a lot of relics is relic points are basically fight money in Uncharted 4. You have to do challenges. Some of the challenges are like, okay, down 10 people with a grenade. That's fine, but then some of them is like you don't want to do because you might not be good with that weapon or whatever. But when you win a match, you get 10. When you uh yeah, when you win a match, you get 10. Now now the latest update they kind of made it better, where they give you vanity chests for free. Like ever so many times you level up in the game, and when you level up, you get 50 relic points. So it's not bad. They made it a lot better than it was at launch, but it's still like. But then they introduced a whole new vanity chest. That's 2,000 or 2,000,000 relic points. Who's gonna play that game for that long? Like that is ridiculous. So yeah, I'm sorry, but Capcom's fight money is way better than fucking Uncharted 4's microtransactions. So yeah, I'm a little bit soft on Capcom when I play Uncharted 4 when I do that shit. I mean, come on. Hard to take this review seriously when they keep trying to refer to Mortal Kombat as the main competitor as top fighting game. Is it even top 5? Street Fighter what's TK? Oh, Tekken. Marvel vs. Capcom, King of Fighters, I think it's Marvel vs. Capcom. Guilty Gear, even Smash, and Killer Instinct all come before Mortal Kombat as fighting games. Maybe even Dead or Alive and Soul Calibur. Wait. Killer Instinct came out before Mortal Kombat? Uh, um, What? What did NetherRealms pay them? Or what? I'm pretty sure Mortal Kombat came out before Killer Instinct. Wasn't Killer Instinct a N64 game? Huh. Rather had a traditional arcade mode than the Cheese Fest story mode. I think the character stories should have been the arcade mode. To be honest, I mean not that say like, oh yeah, the character stories are as good as arcade, but the arcade should have been the character stories, and the main story should have tied the arcade together. I don't know why they didn't do that, but whatever. I knew this story would be ass. Capcom always fucking shit up. Because we all play fighting games for their amazing stories. Dot dot dot. Cammy White's G-string just keep getting smaller and smaller. Okay, Anita. Okay, that's it. I like messed around with the comments too long.
When you're thinking of fighting game, maybe the game was broken, maybe the game was unbalanced. No. The problem with Street Fighter V is that the game devs at Capcom decided to do something a little different and actually cater the...
I like how he brings up how the characters the characters are broken, and then he says in his gameplay that characters are broken. The characters that are broken are Ken, Ryu, sometimes Ryu. Ryu's at least a little bit whatever, but it's still like a safe character to pick. Chun-Li, Cammy, Nash, especially Nash, and to a degree Karen. I don't think Karen's that OP because Karen has good tools to get to make the gap and to get close, but at the same time I think she's very easy to deal with. I don't think she's I think some of her moves could be nerfed, at least with the damage output. I think the damage output on some of her moves could be nerfed, but I don't think she's a broken character that is breaking the game or something. I don't know. I am a Karen player, so I might be biased, but yeah, my mains are Karen, Laura, Rashid, and Armika. So there you go.
Game solely for a hardcore fan base, meaning at launch there were very few game modes available in the game outside of just a one-on-one online competitive mode. In fact, the game lacked any kind of a classic ladder mode or arcade style mode, no real story besides a story mode for each character that only showed a few frames of hand-drawn artwork and some really pathetic single-round fights with almost no challenge to them whatsoever. And it didn't even have online lobbies at launch, which is just a huge no-no for a game that previously had this huge community of players that got together and kind of, really raised the bar when it came to what a community can do for a fighting game.
Now, I do kind of agree with this. Street Fighter V had the weirdest launch. Like, it was just weird with how we went from 4 to 5. Like, the characters, honestly, the gameplay were fine, but then when you got into the modes and all that, it just left you thinking, what happened to the game? Like, why is arcade mode still not in the game? That should have been in the game. And the only thing we got out of it was Capcom saying, oh, we're considering arcade mode.
With the release of Street Fighter IV back in
Capcom.
2009. So when Street Fighter V was released bare bones, people were up in arms. How could Capcom charge $60 for a game that doesn't have anywhere near as much content as its main rival and competitor, NetherRealm, who in the past several years has released games such as Mortal Kombat 9 and 10, as well as the Injustice series, all of which have long story modes, character-driven arcs, all kinds of optional side modes and content, all at launch. And because of that, Capcom took a bunch of criticism, controversy, and flack for releasing a game.
Controversy. Oh, Capcom took the controversy. The thing is that they talked about the cinematic story mode before the game came out. I'm pretty sure they did. We knew it was coming out. We just didn't know when. So it wasn't like Capcom made this cinematic story mode in response to the criticism of Street Fighter V. They had that intentionally. They planned it. They promised it, and they delivered. So there you go.
Game for full retail price that didn't seem to have the content of all of its competitors. Well, it was announced that sometime in the future, they would finally be releasing a full cinematic story mode. Now that's good news because Capcom has never actually had a coherent story in a Street Fighter game, typically just leaving it to a few seconds worth of a quick cutscene or single frames of animation after beating the classic arcade mode that was not present in Street Fighter V, then getting the word that we were finally going to get a real full-fledged story mode was kind of a complete 180 for Capcom. So, over the past weekend, it was released and I had the chance to play through the story mode of Street Fighter V. Was it any good? Let's take a look together. So first, let's talk about the actual story of the cinematic story mode in Street Fighter V. It's an interesting balance. In a lot of ways, it touches upon these long-running plot lines in the Street Fighter franchise, such as the classic rivalry between Ryu and Ken, or the quest of Chun-Li and Guile working for...
Rivalry? I don't think Henry have a rivalry, Phil. I think they have more of a loving relationship. Just saying.
Interpol to shut down Bison and his evil Shadowloo organization. That's tied in with a new plot line where Bison is trying to take over the world by using these satellites, and then later on there's a whole other kind of a weird thing that's tied into it, and it kind of is passable.
What other thing? I mean, it's always been the satellites.
It's a typical dictator trying to take over the world style story. We've seen it before, and it was hilarious because during my playthrough, I actually made direct reference that the plot is kind of similar to that of the movie Ghostbusters 2, and a lot of people watching were referencing Sonic Adventure 2, and it just doesn't seem to do anything original or interesting. It really is really cliche.
Because it's a fighting game. I'm sorry, if you're gonna start measuring Street Fighter on the merits of storytelling, then why are you playing Street Fighter? Go play a game that has story. Go play Uncharted 4 or something. I mean, I'm sorry, but like, this is what I don't get when people complain about story mode in fighting games. Like, it's a fighting game. The story mode is always gonna be cheesy. Like, the only fighting game that, again, sorry my fanboyism is showing for Skullgirls here, but Skullgirls had a story that was actually interesting and unique for a fighting game. And I was like, yeah, that's why I tell people that Street Fighter has one of the... Not Street Fighter, whoops. Skullgirls has one of the best stories for a fighting game, because it's the only one that has well-written dialogue. The only one that comes out cheesy would be like Beowulf and Robo Fortune and Peacock, but those characters are intentionally that way just by looking at them. But like, it tells such an interesting story, and to a degree, even that story somewhat kind of ties all the stories together in some way, shape, or form. Street Fighter has always had cheesy stories. Go play Street Fighter 4. That had a cheesy story. I mean, come on. Like, I'm sorry. Even Mortal Kombat has a cheesy story. Like, I don't know. I didn't really care about Mortal Kombat 10's story. I thought that story was just kind of boring. To be honest, I didn't really give a shit about it. Injustice was good, but that's because it felt like a comic, which it kind of was supposed to. So, there you go.
And in a lot of ways, it's over the top. Also, there just isn't enough of a balance between the characters. Some characters seem to massively overstay their welcome, such as Karen, who for some reason... Karen's the best. Don't be talking shit about Karen. We need more Karen, if anything. Not just kidding. I do kind of see that, but I don't see playing as Karen as a bad thing. So I mean, that's my bias. But if I was not a Karen player and I hated Karen, let's say I despised Karen, yeah, I would be annoyed. I could see that. I could see that the balance in Street Fighter V stories is kind of all over the place. So I do kind of agree with that, because I was expecting to play a lot of Ryu, and he brings up Chun-Li getting like shafted. She got like maybe 1 or 2 fights. Armika got 1 fight, and that fight was pathetic. I wanted more Armika fights. I mean, like, they go to there's one part of the story that made no sense to me. It started out in Karen's house, and then it cuts to the TV, where you're seeing Zangief, I guess, Armika, and Alex, and Laura in the boxing ring. You're like, oh, we're gonna fight them in the boxing ring? Great! And then it's like, no, it goes back to to Karen's house. It's like, that would have been great. I could have played as Alex, I could play as
all that stuff. Instead, like those characters, everyone in that fighting, we got like the short end of the stick except for Zangief.
One of the main heroes of the game. She even forms her own group of fighters to try to take down Bison, and she actually has more fights than anyone else in the.
But story-wise, I don't see that as a bad thing with having Karen form a force to take down Bison, because the thing is that, well, first off, Guile was gonna take down Bison anyway. She's just kind of forming a unity, because the thing is that you can also say that, you know, oh, since her satellite got taken down, she wants to stop Bison for that. But it's Karen. I mean, she's a rich girl, okay? She can do whatever she wants.
Entire story mode, I don't understand why. Or Fang, who's the new one of the big generals of the Shadow.
Man, he got triggered so hard with Fang. I hated Fang, and I wish he did die in the story mode, but dude, every time I was watching the stream, every time Fang would be on screen, he'd be like, "Oh, not Fang!" Oh, like it sounded as if like Fang raped him or something. It's like, come on.
But his acting and character are so obnoxious and absolutely over the top. This guy loses every fight, yet he's back and he's back. Does he ever lose? Does he ever go away? He never fucking goes away.
Dude, he's like fucking. See, this is my issue with Fang or Fang, whatever. He's like a mix of like a final boss character or like a serious character mixed with Danabiki. Like it's just, am I supposed to take him seriously or not? Like, you know, that's the only thing. It's lost with the design with him, because it's like, am I supposed to take him seriously or not? I don't know.
He overstays his welcome and becomes so overbearing to the story, you're gonna hate him by the end. Now compare that with a character like Birdie, who, if you didn't actually play his individual story mode in Street Fighter V before you played this longer cinematic one, you have absolutely no idea why he no longer works for Bison, why he's siding with Carrie.
They never bring up why that he left Bison in the first place in the cinematic story, so it doesn't really matter that they don't talk about it. But at the same time, Birdie I kind of hate what they did to him in Street Fighter V. Like, at first it didn't bother me, but then when I started like doing the character story and going through this story, it's just like, all he is now, he's basically Phil. Instead, just replace money with food. That's all Birdie does in this game. It's like, oh man, food. Oh, I need to be fed. It's like, what the fuck? Like, you know, when I played Alpha 3. Alpha 3 is honestly one of my favorite Street Fighter games. I don't understand why it's kind of hated on. But, when I did the story mode in the arcade mode, Birdie was like, oh yeah, I'm a tough guy, all this kind of shit. He's like, oh, okay, oh, you're gonna feed me? Okay, cool. Like, it's just, he's a typical, like, fat kid now. Good, wow.
And why he's with the heroes. There's just not enough information given there, and there shouldn't be a prerequisite of you to play another mode in order to understand the story.
There shouldn't be a prerequisite to play a character story? Like, oh. And honestly, by the time that this came out, everyone played the character story mode. Like, come on.
Far for me, the most disappointing character of all is Nikali. This character was supposed to be an enigma, an evil demon-like character who only comes back to Earth every few thousand years when apparently there's some kind of a summoning of warriors and something really important happening, and he fights these warriors and absorbs the soul energy. Who is he? Why does he absorb the soul energy? What's the point? Guess what? None of that is explained whatsoever.
Now, before people say, like, well, it's Mystique, it's supposed to be, like, very abstract and fuck you. That's not how that works. Because here's the thing. I'm not saying that they have to explain everything about the character, but they should at least give us enough information about him. Like, you know, why did Bison, when he showed up, when he was fighting Bison, why was Bison like, oh, I got according to plan. Yeah, he is here. It's like, okay, what was Bison gonna do with him? Like, it says he has to give some kind of semblance to a reason to be. Like, you can't just throw a character in there, because, like, and honestly, Phil does bring up a point. If you get rid of Nikali, nothing in the plot changes. To some degree, things has to change with the story for it to matter. If you take out Birdie, Nikali, nothing really different happens. Like, nothing changes with the story. I mean, and that's the issue I had with Nikali, was that there was no payoff, nothing to do with that character. Like, they could have tied it better to Ryu, honestly. They could have just tied it to, like, to that. That could have, I mean, honestly, Nikali could have been its own story mode, to be honest, because to develop it more. It's just, I wouldn't say that they had no plans with Nikali, but it's just, it feels that they either had a draft of what Nikali's character was in the story, and they had to cut it down to fit the length that they wanted for the story, or it didn't fit, or something. But it's just he needs more than just, oh, it's Mystique. It's supposed to make you think, because honestly, that's not necessarily a good thing either. I mean, yeah, some stories are great when they leave it up to interpretation, like Metal Gear Solid 5. Honestly, I know I'm gonna get some flack for saying that, but at least that gives enough information for you to kind of interpret the story the way you want it, because there's enough of a backbone there. There's no bone with Nikali being in the story. So, yeah, it's not like, oh, it's Mystique, it's great, and Phil's needed to be explained. It's just, it needs more than just, well, he shows up here when there's fights, and he absorbs the fighter's souls. Okay, so why did he die after he fought Ryu the last time? What was so different about that fight than fighting the others? Oh, because Ryu used his fighting spirit or something? Like, I don't know. It's just kind of, it's lazy. Like, that's what that kind of comes off as. It's just that, yeah, there's nothing to do with Nikali, but it's just there's like nothing in the story about Nikali, but there needs to be more to that character for it to feel a weight to that character. Because I shouldn't sit in the story mode, look at Nikali and be like, what was the point? Like, it's just, there needed to be more about him. Because it just seems like he's like an afterthought. Half the time when he shows up, it's like after another fight. So, like, it's just, like, okay, oh, you're fighting, but oh, by the way, Nikali's over here. It's like, oh, okay. Like, I don't know. That's...
In fact, if you deleted Nikali from the story mode of Street Fighter V, it wouldn't affect anything at all. He's literally just thrown in to get him wedged in there and say that every character was in the story. It's obvious that the writers of this story don't know anything else about him and didn't want to elaborate on his story at this time. It really was very, very lame and out of place. And if anything, it's the most disappointing thing about all of the character stories in this mode. Now, one major criticism I have to lend on the story mode is that the director decided to do insane amounts of jump cuts. Now, I'm not one to say that I'm some kind of a movie director and I know better than anyone else, but this mode was all over the place. Sometimes the loading would take longer than the actual scene that would take place just to jump to another character, then jump to the other part of the globe, and then jump between scenes so quickly that it was actually hard to coherently keep track of what was going on, especially if, God forbid, you sneeze or you have to take a piss during this story mode.
What? I mean, like, when you sneeze, you can still hear what's going on, and it's just jump cuts. I mean, it's easy to understand what happened, but then when you have to you have to go to the bathroom. Are you gonna really go during a cutscene? Like, no. You're either gonna like wait for the fight to start, pause the game, then go to the bathroom, or you're gonna like leave the story. But like, there's no way you're like, oh, cutscene's playing, I gotta go to the bathroom, like, and then leave it playing. But of course, that's DSP for you.
Gonna be completely lost. I don't understand why they jumped around so much, and it certainly is one strong negative. But it certainly isn't all negative, and I'll be honest with everyone, as a longtime fan of Street Fighter, I actually appreciated the fact that there finally is a coherent story in one of these games, and that they were trying to tie everyone's plot lines together. It certainly wasn't the best story. There was a lot of groanable, cringe-worthy moments during the campaign. Like, did you ever want to know how strong Zangief's chest hair is? And how many...
Chest hair? Dude, he was using muscle spirit. But, yeah, it's kind of what he says. It's Capcom's first time making a coherent story with Street Fighter. So, obviously, when you do a first time for something, it's not going to be the prettiest. Like, like, if I look back at the first comic I made for myself, like, I didn't publish or anything, it was just for myself when I was a kid, it was garbage. But then when I kept doing it, it got better and better. So obviously, for a first time, like, coherent story mode, it's gonna be kind of like a bumpy ride. But I think if they keep doing it, if they do with Street Fighter 6 or do another story mode, I think it's gonna be fine.
Things can bounce off of it. Now you're gonna find out in the story, you know, come on. I mean, it's kind of silly. But in the same regard, I'm just happy.
Yeah, it's just silly in a game where people can throw fireballs through their fists. A game that talks about fighter spirit or whatever. Like, yeah.
Exist. We've never had anything like this before. The fact that Capcom didn't charge anything additional for it, certainly it's a welcome addition, and I did enjoy finally getting to play through a story for once. But now we've got to leave the actual story of this new mode and talk about the core gameplay aspect, the combat. And unfortunately, this is what most people on the internet are crazy abuzz about right now when it comes to Street Fighter V. The combat of the story mode is terrible. Literally no effort was put into any of the combat of the cinematic story mode in Street Fighter V. 95% of the fights that you're going to have, the computer-controlled opponent will stand there like a drooling zombie while you wail upon it mercilessly. It doesn't even attempt to block or move out of the way. It's an...
But he showed in that the bot was blocking. But yeah, I agree. The bots, and the thing is, like, with the cinematic story mode, the AI was kind of piss easy, like in the character story mode, but it at least ramped up the difficulty by the end. And then you get extra mode, and I think extra mode was actually a lot of fun. I liked the challenge of that, except for when I was Dalsum. I hate Dalsum. Dalsum fucking sucks. I'm sorry if you play as him, but no.
Joke. In addition, Capcom decided to make all of the story mode fights only a single round. So in the case of some of these characters who maybe you're getting to play for the first time, especially if you haven't bought all the DLC characters yet, or in the case of Urien or Jury, they're not even released yet, you're not going to get any kind of satisfaction out of the combat because it's over before you know it. You literally will wait longer for it to load than you'll be in the fight itself. And even if you try to take your time, it won't matter. They're going to lose their health so quickly because they're not defending. These matches are over before they even start. It's literally a waste of your time, and I don't understand why Capcom couldn't be bothered to do something.
But the thing is that you could always replay matches. Like once you beat the story mode, you can actually pick the fights that you want to start. So you could do like Urien versus Nash. You redo that fight as many times as you want. So that's honestly, a whatever point. I mean, I do agree that there should have been 2 rounds in the game. There shouldn't have been like 1-round matches. That I hate 1-round matches. It's so fucking lame. But yeah.
More similar to what NetherRealm did, making it a legit 2 out of 3 fight as if it were a standard competitive fight against a human, and actually putting in some kind of competitive AI. Does it need to be top level, tournament level AI? No, but at least put something in there so it puts up a fight, and maybe you can learn a few little fundamentals with each character that you're playing with in the game. I mean, you get to play as every single character, so why not actually get to play a decent match? I don't know what they were going for. Now, on the end of the story mode, I have to give the flip side review, because the final 5 fights, the AI ramps it up so ridiculously that it reads your button inputs and blatantly cheats the game engine. Allow me to explain what I mean.
Okay, any programmers out there, people who know what game engines are, let me ask you something. Is it true what you said, like how a bot can cheat an engine? Because from what I understand, what an engine is like the thing that helps form the visuals. Like it's what the graphics run on. It's what that stuff, like character inputs, button inputs, that kind of shit has nothing to do with engines. Am I right about that, or is what DSP said logical with saying that? Oh yeah, the game cheats the game engine, because I don't think that makes sense, but I just love that he went from the game is too easy to, oh, now the game's too hard. Okay.
Now, those who've played through Street Fighter V's existing survival mode are gonna know what I mean when I say the final opponents in story mode read your button inputs. What this means is that the game doesn't have any kind of true reactionary AI where it has to see what's happening on screen like a human in order to react, but instead it actually reads your input through your controller and has a programmed response. For example, there's one fight where Zangief is fighting one of the dolls. If you're not aware, the dolls are the brainwashed assassin squad of M. Bison. It was cool because this was the very first game where you actually saw all of them in combative action, and I'm wondering if they're actually going to add them as DLC characters in the future. But I digress, there is a fight between Zangief and one of these dolls. This doll is literally programmed that every time Zangief inputs a spinning pile driver motion, that it will jump out of it.
But he said that, and they're like, oh, every time he's gonna jump out of it. And this particular clip, he started by doing a 360 pile driver.
No way you can actually catch this character with a spinning pile driver, because every time you go for it, she jumps out of it. It's absolutely laughable because the spinning pile driver is a key and integral part of Zangief's gameplay style, but it's completely nerfed because the computer cheats and instantly reacts to your button input when a human would never be able to do that in a real competitive match. In addition, the AI abuses the rules of the game. For example, during one of the fights versus M. Bison, I was fighting him, he walked forward and then did a head stomp. Now, for those who aren't too versatile in the move and listings of Street Fighter V, M. Bison's head stomp requires you to charge down on your gamepad for 2 seconds, then press upwards plus a button in order for it to activate.
I do have a feeling that you can still walk while holding down charging. I don't know how charge characters work. The only charge character I kind of dabble with is Alex, and a little bit of Balrog. But with that, I feel that either he can. I don't know. I don't know.
There's
Actually,
no way you can walk forward and then instantly go into the move at all. The game basically cheats its own rule set in order to become artificially difficult at the end. It's completely unfair, and quite honestly, it's the easy way out. Capcom put absolutely zero effort into the gameplay of the story mode of Street Fighter V. It's either insanely, incredibly simple, where there's a drooling idiot who gets pummeled upon and you're going to be disappointed how quickly the fight ends, or it's going to completely cheat and read your inputs and abuse its own rules.
see, I think what he's trying to get at is that there's no gradual difficulty in the story mode, but he's not saying that, so he sounds like an idiot because he's not. He doesn't realize that he's saying that the game's too easy, and he's saying the game's too hard. Saying a game's too hard is very subjective. Like if I said that, the Wind Waker's the hardest Zelda game ever made, someone could easily tell me, no, this Zelda game is the hardest Zelda game ever made, because we all have different perception of difficulty. Like, so when he says it's too hard, I don't know what he means. I can't fathom how hard it can be. Now I've played against Bison on the vanilla difficulty, the base difficulty. It wasn't that hard. It was actually kind of fine. It was just the right amount of challenge. On extra mode, he becomes a fucking juggernaut. So yeah, okay.
To make it artificially hard. It's bullshit. If they were going to wait 4 to 4.5 months to put out this mode, they could have put some damned effort into the gameplay. This is absolutely inexcusable for someone who's very interested.
But it's playable. I was able to beat it on normal and extra, so it's playable. And mind you, I'm not a Nash player. I fucking suck at Nash, and I was able to beat Bison on hard.
In this mode, and then ends up finding out how bad it is when it comes to the gameplay mechanics. In addition to all of that, the fights are completely lopsided. Some characters, as I've already mentioned, Karen, will get many fights in the story mode through upwards of 3 or 4, while other characters like Chun-Li only gets 1. I mean, Chun-Li is a staple character in the Street Fighter.
Chun-Li gets 1, and Armika gets 1. Chun-Li fucking sucks anyway. She's fucking broken ass shit. You already know how to play as her. You don't even need to practice with Chun-Li to get Chun-Li. You just have to look at her move list, look at her move list, and that's it. That's all you need to do, and you got her, because she's so fucking easy. I'm sorry. I mean, like I played as Chun-Li once, and I was just kind of surprised how easy I was able to pick her up. Like it's ridiculous.
Franchise, she only fights once during the entire cinematic story mode campaign. I don't get it. That kind of baffles me. There was no balance or any thought put into, gee, let's try to make it even so every character gets the same amount of games. And the problem is that some of the characters, again, who aren't released yet or are new DLC characters, barely get any fights in. Balrog only gets one. So it's not even fair if you're trying to get a taste of characters and decide if you want to buy them yourself or not. It doesn't even serve that purpose.
But that's the point, though. That they give you one, so you can kind of get like a tiny little taste. So then you'll get suckered into buying the DLC. And that kind of what happened to me with Balrog. But see, this is the other thing I kind of wasn't happy with Capcom for doing. I liked that Alex and Guile were gonna be DLC characters that you have to pay fight money and all that stuff. I knew that. So they had them free for a while, and then they were gonna have you charge them to keep them forever. I just feel that they should have just had that system where like they keep those characters like free for like a week, few days to a week. That's fine. Keep them free, and then like because that would be a better system to get people to buy those characters. Because one, they'd be playing those characters, and within a week they're gonna find out if they really want to buy them or not. But the way that they did it is obviously so that they can stimulate people into buying these characters. So there you go.
So again, I gotta kind of leave myself scratching my head. What the hell was the director of this story mode thinking when choosing the frequency of fights and who would get more while others would get less? Now, it begs the question, why would someone who maybe isn't interested in the story of Street Fighter V and only cares about the competitive aspects of the game want to play this cinematic story mode? Well, upon the first completion of the story mode, you will receive 30,000 fight points. It then unlocks a hard version of that story mode by which all of the computer-controlled opponents are using that incredibly cheating button input reading AI, making it gruelingly difficult to get through, and if you get through that
fucking face. And honestly, I will say the 50k on the extra mode it is worth it. I played through extra mode just for the 50k, and I felt really accomplished by the end. I was like, yeah, I got the 50k.
That one, you'll actually unlock 50,000 fight points. For those who don't know, fight points are the in-game currency of Street Fighter V that allow you to unlock DLC characters, stages, additional outfits and colors without actually spending any real-world money. So if anyone's looking for 80,000 additional fight points, which is almost enough to buy an entire character, it's probably going to be worth your time to play through the awful gameplay of this mode twice to get it over with. But I'll be honest with everyone, the fact that it's so gruelingly difficult to get past this cheating AI, I don't know if it's actually worth the trouble.
It's worth it.
The second time, you're going to be ripping your hair out of your head for 50,000 fights.
It's worth it. I mean, yeah, the like some of the fights are fucking hard. Like that Dalsum versus the Kali fight, man, I was so close to quitting that. I was like, ah, fuck this. But then I was like, no, fuck, I got through it, and then I went through the rest of the game. And then I fought Bison against my shitty Nash. Was able to beat him after a few tries, and I got through it. And then I got the 50k, and it's worth it. To me, it's worth it. Any challenge is worth it. I'm sorry, Phil. You just
fight points. I guess that's gonna be up to you to judge. And so, is the cinematic story mode of Street Fighter V any good? It's not terrible. It's not the worst.
There it is. That fucking voice. I know I've probably done it sometimes in my videos, but I'm not getting paid to do these videos. I don't have these monetized. I'm not doing this for a job. If I did this for a job, I would refrain from doing or meh, like, because that just doesn't make you sound like a articulated person or someone that I don't know. I kind of that, but that's like a kind of like a sigh. But it's just there's no need to review and just have these audible kind of noises.
Thing ever, but at the same time, it was not worth a 4.5 month wait, and Capcom could have put way more effort into this, especially with the absolutely terrible gameplay.
No, I do kind of agree. I kind of when I did play it, I didn't see what took him so long to release this. It felt like that it was already done, in my opinion. I just don't get why it took them this long to do it, but whatever.
That's included. In fact, the most notable thing that happens during the entire story mode of this game is that you actually get to fight an elderly Brazilian cop named Peter. He takes insane amounts of damage, and you basically become a criminal when you fight him. The fight is absolutely ridiculously silly. It makes no sense, and it's just so out of place for the Street.
Makes no sense. See, I like how it brings that up, but then it's like, oh yeah, that's out of place fighting a cop compared to in the arcade of Super Street Fighter 4, you could fight a car and you fight barrels. Yeah, fighting a cop is totally out of place in Street Fighter. Okay.
Fighter universe, you're probably gonna bust a gut laughing when you actually see it. So, I'm happy that Street Fighter V finally got an official story. It's obvious that Capcom is desperately now trying to sell more copies of the game because so many mainstream gamers who aren't into the competitive aspect of Street Fighter V skipped the game, leading to record low sales numbers.
Record low sales numbers. Because when you look at Street Fighter 4, that came out on PS3, 360, and I think it also came out on PC eventually. It came out on like all those platforms, so of course it's gonna sell more. This came out on PS4 and PC. Now you could also argue that there's a lot more PC and PS4 owners, but at the same time, like, you don't know if all the people who own a PS4 are into fighting games anymore. But you know, I mean, you should just look at consoles specifically. How did Street Fighter 4 sell on PS3, and how did it sell on PS4 and Street Fighter 5? Or look at the PS4 numbers of Street Fighter 4. See how that's sold. I mean, I don't think the PS4 version sold very well, but okay.
For a mainstream Street Fighter release, they didn't even get close to trying to get what kind of sales they were expecting, and they're so far under Street Fighter 4's performance at this point. It's really silly. I doubt that anyone who isn't already playing the game is going to run out there and try to buy this game at this point. So adding in this content...
But who cares? Who cares about sales numbers? I don't think Capcom cares about sales numbers. Like, if they did, then they probably would stop supporting it. Like, they would just drop it if it was, like, I don't know. Like, honestly, there's gonna be more Street Fighter. I mean, there's no way they're gonna, like, oh, we're done with Street Fighter, because it's definitely a staple. Like, and it does make them some money. I mean, it doesn't make... Yeah, just because it doesn't reach sales expectations doesn't mean that, oh, we're done with this game. Like, if that's the case, then Resident Evil 7 shouldn't exist, because Resident Evil 6 was the worst-selling Resident Evil game.
Is kind of just trying to fulfill their promises from back in February rather than doing any kind of actual sales strategy.
But that's better! See, like, I love how he also complains in all the videos, saying, like, oh, can we trust Capcom? I don't know. And then here in this video says that they are trying to fulfill their promises. That is important. To me, I don't care about sales practice, but at least they promised story mode, they gave us a story mode. So you can't say that they don't deliver on their promises, because they did deliver on their promises. So there you go.
It is what it is. I'm happy it exists. I hope that Capcom has learned their lesson, and that in the future they will realize they can no longer just sell a subpar product that does not have the same kind of quality and content as their main competitors just because it says Capcom or Street Fighter on the front of the package. It doesn't fly anymore. In 2016, when we pay $60, we want the same content that we get from buying your competitors' games. No more excuses.
He wants the same... So if he wants, like... So, like, that's like me saying, like, oh, man, I came over for Street Fighter 6 to give me that Skullgirls game. Like, no. Because if that's the case, then every fighting game sucks, because I like Skullgirls, King of Fighters 13, the one that's the 2D King of Fighters, Persona 4 fighting game, and all those games. I want more games like that, not this 3D bullshit. Like, come on. Like... I don't even think Street Fighter needed a cinematic story. It just needed an arcade mode. If they gave me an arcade mode, I wouldn't give a shit about the story mode. I mean, I'd still play it. Don't get me wrong, but I like arcade mode. Why was the arcade mode not in this game?
And hopefully, Capcom does learn from this experience. The story mode of Street Fighter V is laughable. It's hilarious. It's a joke. It's buggy. It's stupid.
Buggy. The only bugs he ran into is just random, like, graphic glitches of, like, hair twitching and shit like that. Who fucking cares about that shit? Oh, man, hair glitches. Oh.
It's not very good, but at least it exists. It's a starting point for Capcom to build upon and hopefully in the future do better. Let's hope that they did learn from their mistake this time and that we can see better stuff in future iterations of this franchise. Alright everyone, that is it for my thoughts and review on the Street Fighter V Cinematic Story Mode. Hope that you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please spread the word so that other people can check it out, as well as...
Dude, I just love. Please spread the word about KOGaming. Like, it's like some kind of religion. Like, you know, like those like Jehovah's Witness goes door to door, and it's like, oh, do you have time to listen to the word of Jesus or whatever? Spread the word of KOGaming. Like, okay. Check out my raw playthrough of the Street Fighter V Story Mode. Amazon. But check out my raw. Does it even put the Okay, he did.
Check out the description of the video where you can find things such as a link to my raw playthrough of the story mode of Street Fighter V over on my gameplay channel DSP Gaming, as well as my Amazon Associates link, and a link to my Patreon. Thanks a lot everyone for watching, and I'll see you next time here on KOGaming.
Okay, that's it for this video, guys. I feel like I want to do a bonus video. Oh, let me stretch. Actually, yeah, you know what? Eddie put up a good vid. Let's go to Eddie. Hold on. I need to go to other. Let me find it. Okay, be patient. Oh shit! I gotta change that. Our dear friend Eddie B43, our good friend, has put up a video. Here we go.
Alright, let me get my headphones on here. We're going to start up with Balrog. And Wazer Weifel in the stream chat says, oh, the chief director of Street Fighter V said that they're doing fewer charge characters in Street Fighter V so that more characters can be more actively offensive instead of needing to wait to charge to build before they can use their specials. Just that statement alone shows that the creative director of Street Fighter V, or chief director, doesn't even understand fighting games. Because the challenge of a charge character is to retain an offensive while holding your charge.
By the way, I love that it says that his PlayStation Plus subscription is about to run out. That's funny to me. But I like how it's just shitting on the creative director. I do think it's weird that they're doing. I don't know, but it's like, how many charge characters were in Street Fighter 4? I know Balrog was one, Bison was one, Cammy was Cammy a charge character? I think she might be. The Capra was a charge character. Rolenta, I think, was a charge character. Yeah, I mean, I guess that they should have a little bit more charge characters, but at the same time, we have like there's two DLC characters that were charge characters. Like, I mean, I don't know. I feel like I don't like charge characters personally because I fucking suck as them, but whatever.
Don't have issues with rushing down. They never have. A good player can rush down with a charge character. Take a look at Balrog in Street Fighter 4. He was a big-time rush-down character. He could be played either offensively or defensively. The problem is the chief director of Street Fighter V is a nitwit and doesn't understand the characters in his own fucking game. A lot of people don't realize this, but long-time players of Street Fighter pretty much don't play Street Fighter V. A lot of them just stayed away.
A lot of long-time Street Fighter players. That's quite a statement, because my friend who introduced me to Street Fighter bought Street Fighter V, and he still plays it. It's quite a statement to say that, oh, longtime Street Fighter players have not picked up this game or have stopped playing. Like, no, they have not avoided this game. They probably bought the game or are waiting until all the characters are out, because honestly, I think that's why people are not buying Street Fighter V, because they don't want to have the same feel as they did when they got Street Fighter 4. Because when they bought Street Fighter 4, like, they just announced Super Street Fighter 4. Then it's like, oh, okay, so that's why no one bought Street Fighter 5, is because people are thinking that there's going to be a Super Street Fighter 5. That You know, I always say that I kind of have faith with Capcom that they're not going to do Super Street Fighter 5. They said that that stuff is going to be DLC. Because the way that I see it is that, yeah, they might release a disc-based version of their new Street Fighter 5, but it's going to be something that's going to be downloaded for Street Fighter 5. As long as I can get it on my game, I don't care if they release it on disc again. Like, that's the thing. Like, everyone complains about Arcade Edition and Ultra Street Fighter 4. They're like, oh man, they're just reselling the game. But it's like, if I could get $1 or $2 for my game that I bought for, I don't care. I don't care. That's how I felt about it.
The players who actually play Street Fighter 5 versus like people who used to get hardcore into Street Fighter. In fact, when Street Fighter 4 released, a lot of people came back out of retirement, and when Street Fighter 5 came out, they were like, screw it. You know, because they did.
People got out of retirement to play Street Fighter 4. Dude, there's no such thing as retirement for people who like fighting games. Like, you know, Skullgirls is a pretty old game. I've not retired that game because that game is fucking amazing.
The people who were in charge of this game just are of one mentality and mindset, of one style of play, and don't understand how a good fighting game is made and how variety is the spice of life. Not everyone plays the same. The guy is a complete idiot. That statement is stupidity in a nutshell. Anyone who's a competitive player could tell you that guy has no idea what the fuck he's talking about. Anyway,
He's kind of right about that. Is that you know, it's great to have variety in a fighting game, but at the same time, like, let's say that there's no charge characters, you can still have variety. It's just as long as you don't have Shoryukens and shit. Like, if they have the same moves as other characters, then yeah, it's fucking, there's no variety. But it's just, I don't know.
great. And I would love the big Balrog stage, except look at this. 70,000 fucking fight money. Almost as much as a DLC character to play on his stage. Fuck you, Capcom.
Fuck you, Capcom. The only thing I think is overpriced are the costumes. That should have been $1. Characters I think are okay. Because they're like $5.99, I think. That's okay. I think that characters should have been $3. But yeah, some of the pricing is kind of weird in this game.
No thanks, assholes.
And he's so salted for no reason. He hates Street Fighter 5. He hates it. Well, that's it for this video. I will have to get back to doing my almighty challenge at some point. Oh, man. Side note, I've been watching his This Is How You Don't Play Resident Evil 5. He's apparently played that game. I didn't know he did. And it's actually something. It's actually something because, for one, he actually sounds like he's having a good time. I know, right? That sounds so insane, and that's I think I mentioned that in my weekend preview video that I'm gonna be uploading before this. That you know, he doesn't sound like he said like, oh man, the Resident Evil 5 playthrough was shit compared to what I'm gonna do now that I'm, you know, doing this as a business and all that stuff. So it's like he had fun playing Resident Evil 5, but that makes it a terrible game playthrough of his. But now that he's treating this as a job, it's great. Okay, whatever. Well, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. See you guys next time.